Today on the No City on the Sideline Dad podcast, episode number 60, I want you to ponder on something. And this is something that my guest mentioned to me during the interview. Hard choices, easy life. Easy choices, hard life. We explore that and about men's health, communication, relationship, divorce, and being a dad. Next with my guest, Coach Arnie. Let's do this.
Welcome to the No Sitting on the Sideline Dad podcast, a podcast about a journey of discovery and conversations about not sitting on the sideline of life. Let's get involved. Here's host Joe Foley.
Welcome to the podcast. Hey, my name is Joe, and I want to say really thank you for being here. Hey, if this is first time, welcome. Welcome to the podcast. Podcast about a journey of discovery. What I mean is, I'm on a journey of discovery trying to figure out this thing in life. Because you know what? Nobody really teaches you. You got to figure this. Sometimes you can figure this stuff out yourself. What it means to be a dad, mom, a better version of ourselves. I enjoy talking with people who have stories to share to help me a better person and helps you to be a better person. Really, seriously. People like mindfulness, sugar addiction, helps us to be a better person. You know what? I don't have the answers, but somebody else might have the answers. And we try to have a discussion every podcast about different topics. I'm not an expert. I'm just like you. Seriously. Just like you, trying to figure this stuff out one day at a time. Hey, before we get into the interview, I just want to thank you really very, very much for listening to the podcast of the year and wish you and your family, no matter what part of the world, where you live, whatever the holiday is, the holiday season. So it could be anything that has to do with Christmas or some version of it. I want to wish you and your family a happy and safe holiday and a happy new year and a bright 2019. Next, I have my interview with Coach Arnie. Arnie's been helping people over 40 years. He's an ultramarathon runner, a dad, husband. He's faced different challenges and triumphs and brings those things into helping people through his counseling, through his mentorship, through relation counseling. Things we talk about today. And these are important topics too. How important communication in relationships. Yes, make a relationship better or it can make it worse. How coaching and mentorship can help. Like I've been a mentor, like somebody coach, because I think honestly, I'm on the verge of getting a coach myself on many different topics. How important a father's role in the family. You don't realize, sometimes I think about it watching on TV, which drives me absolutely nuts. But I see a dad who's looking like he's a fumbling idiot. And dad's not like that, man. We're just as smart as the mother. And we're just involved as a mother. So we're not stupid. And, it's kind of a stereotype, which is kind of one of my things that I really don't like, but we can get things done. Also, the other thing we talk about divorce, a good way to get through a rut through adventure coaching, which I thought was pretty cool. He does, Coach Arnie mentors men and kind of gets people out of their ruts through adventure coaching, which I think is pretty cool. He shares a lot, so let's jump right into the interview. Welcome to the podcast, Coach Arnie.
Hey, Joe. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Nice. Thank you for coming on tonight. I really do appreciate it. I was wondering, I like to start off with an interesting question. What was one thing that makes Coach Arnie happy?
Well, what makes me happy, honestly, I've been a teacher and a coach my whole life. And, watching people grow and do the things that God intended them to do and be the person that God intended them to be, that really inspires me. That drives me to get out of bed in the morning. Honestly, along with my family, seeing them do well. Obviously, as a coach, I've learned the hard way that you're not always going to be able to help your family, and that once you detach yourself from that emotional burden, that makes life a little better. But being able to help people, and I've been doing it for almost 40 years now, Joe, as a teacher first and a coach. When coaching was, sports mainly, but back then, with students and athletes, being able to watch them grow and do the things that with the skills that God gave them was certainly an inspiration to me and truly makes me happy and joyful.
I noticed, I know all the time I follow you on Facebook and stuff like that. And I noticed you have a lot of Facebook live videos and you're talking about different topics, but I always see you running everywhere. What is that?
I'm an adventure coach. I have learned and to use adventure as part of my, if you want to call it a hook, but I'm an adventure coach, meaning that kind of a niche that I use, especially with men, Joe, because I know a lot of guys that hopefully are listening to this. They're young dads, and I talk with a lot of young dads, and they're stuck. I look at it this way, Joe. I'm holding my hands up right now. One hand is on the bottom, one hand's on the top, and there's a gap in between. And the bottom hand is kind of where you're at today. That's your life circumstances. And my top hand is where I expected to be at this time. Maybe I'm 30 or 25 or 40 or 65 or 70. I talked with a group of 70-year-olds the other day. And when we can't make any progress, Joe, in closing down that gap from where we are today to where we expected to be, we suffer. And actually after this call, I'm going to check in with a guy in Texas who I sent a book to, a young dad in his 30s, married about 5 years, got a couple, he's only got 2 kids. Yeah, 2 kids. And just really going through a tough time with his marriage. You know, he's a retired Navy guy, underwater specialist, and sharp guy, but he can't figure out this whole marriage dad thing. And, you know, when I talked to him the other day, it was last Saturday, actually, it was almost a week ago, they were going on their first date in 6 months, but they were taking the kids with them because they couldn't figure out how to get all that arranged and all that good stuff. And so I sent him a book, a great book for dads and for couples in general, is the 5 love languages. And I'll make an offer to any of your guys that are listening. If they contact me, I'll send them an audio copy of that book.
Author's name?
Dr. Gary Chapman, 5 love languages. It is critical. It is critical as a relationship specialist. That's what I do. Obviously work with dads, but I am a relationship specialist. I work with a lot of couples, Joe. And a lot of couples are struggling, especially these young couples. They are struggling. And so it is so critical to learn how to communicate. And I know this. Like I said, I worked with a group of 70-year-olds the other day, and most of the questions I got were on communication and relationship issues with their kids, with their significant others, if they had one. Most in the group were divorced. I was shocked. Most of them were on their second marriage or divorced. And how sad. And we don't teach this stuff. We don't teach how to communicate. We don't teach what Dr. Chapman talks about in his book. And that's why I'm saying, to anybody in your audience that gets a hold of me, I will make sure I get them a copy of that. But even reading stuff, though, if you don't put it to work, it's just more information clogging up your head. You got to use this stuff. And I know this too, Joe, that if we learn from our relationships, good or bad, then your next relationship should be better. It should be better. And one of the things I really am a big fan of with young couples, since I know that's a lot of your audiences, is before you get married, is work with a coach or a mentor or something. I know my daughter and her fiance are doing that right now. They're 29 and he's 30. And because it's too emotional for me, but they found a great counselor who has been working with them now, since last summer. So going on a year now. And I was so happy to hear that. And my future son-in-law has told me, he goes, I'm going to continue this after I get married because I'm learning so much. Good God. You know, if we can get young people, and I'll just say people in general, to do stuff like this, we're going to make, 1, a lot more secure marriages. 2, we're going to have better grounded people out there. And especially for guys, Joe. I mean, that's right. Like I said, specializes. Marriage is screwed up. We are so confused. We don't know what to do. We get our knees cut out from underneath us, and then the next thing we're doing, we're like, what am I supposed to do now? And all of it is 95% of it is directly related to communication.
It's an interesting thing that communication is such an important thing, and especially when it comes to marriage. I mean, I learned from my experience being divorcing myself and not communicating. It's very important. What is like your experience as your marriage? And I know you have 4 kids. How does it relate to your?
Oh man, I've been married 32 years, Joe. 32 years, my brother.
Oh,
I have a coach myself. He works with me, and I'm older than him, and he goes to me, Arnie, you're the real deal. You didn't just go to a weekend seminar and become a coach. I go, well, no, I didn't. I've been doing this stuff since I was coaching, and I was coaching before I actually graduated from college. And when you're a coach in high school, especially, and you're working with young men, that I was just a few years older than, after I earned their trust, Joe, they were coming to me with real life problems, man, whether it's girlfriend problems, whether it's issues with mom and dad. And I'll be honest with you. Some of these guys that I've known now going on 40 years, they are some of my best friends. They come to me today with problems in their 50s. One of the guys I've coached he runs a recovery center. He was an alcoholic up until just probably less than 10 years ago. And he runs a recovery center, and I speak there every 3 months. I'm going to speak there not this weekend, but next weekend to a group of probably 80 to 100 guys. It's a live-in facility. And I've just been. You don't become a coach without some experience in life. That's why Tony Robbins is so great. Tony Robbins didn't go through any training courses. He worked with Jim Rohn and a lot of other guys, but he was, through his own experiences, through, stuff that he went through. And he didn't really start with that. He started with addiction stuff, breaking people's bad habits and stuff. My coaching came from my experience, being married 32 years. And I tell people this all the time, that I probably should have been divorced 3 times. And one of the greatest lessons I got was spending a lot of money and hiring a counselor who's a good friend. He ran a wonderful program that I used to listen to on the radio 20 years ago. And one day my wife and I were going at it. I just told the story the other day. We were going at it, and I was sitting in my office where I'm sitting right now, but in different directions. And I just literally picked up the phone. I called her bluff, picked up the phone and got him on the phone. And he stepped in right in the middle of a big old battle. Okay. And I set a time to come down and talk. And we started a year-long program. Like I said, it cost me a lot of money, but it was well worth it. It was like going to graduate school. He taught me a lot of things. I learned a lot about myself, stuff that I never knew as a man, because I had a terrible relationship with my dad. And I know a lot of guys that I work with too, as well. That's why I'm a big fan.
I was wondering about one thing about her relation with your dad and how important your dad plays in the part of your relationships. How did that play in your marriage and your relationship with dad? How did that work? I was just curious.
Well, terrible. I never went to my dad for any advice on anything with girls, ever. Now he's passed away, and when I went through my first men's class almost 10 years ago, here I am sitting in class 75 other guys, and I looked around going, man, I'm not the only screwed up guy here, okay? Because we grew up, my generation, Joe, grew up with what's called the absent father. He was there, but he wasn't there. He didn't know how to be a dad. And one of my clients is a doctor. He told me one time, I really struggle with this. He said, Arn, your dad did the best he knew how. Because he was raised by a great dad, the whole community loved him. He was out, salesman, great guy. He was never home. So my dad was raised by his uncles and, the older sisters, because he was a baby of this family. He never knew how to be a dad. He didn't know, and so that's what I got. So thank God I had great coaches and teachers. His generation never even said, I love you, man. His parents, they never said that to him.
It was interesting. I read something like a couple weeks ago, I think, about how the important role of fathers play in the kids' development of the emotional and social development. I think it's social, but I know it's emotional. And it's so discounted when the father's not there, and the kids have to be more in trouble, do less in school. And it's interesting to watch, because I'm a little bit different story. My dad was absent because of divorce. So I didn't have a dad. So I had my mom, and I can see the problem, especially because I'm divorced, but I can see not knowing. So basically I'm trying to figure this out for myself. So I understand where you're coming from.
Well, not only that, here's the key. This is the key. Single moms trying to be both mom and dad that's your generation. My generation didn't get divorced. Divorces didn't start until really the 70s. Now, I remember my dad leaving home twice, and it really busted me up as a kid, man, because I was embarrassed, because nobody got divorced in the 60s and in the early 70s, dude. Nobody. And if they did, you didn't hear about it. All right. And but this I know, because of good coaches and teachers that I was surrounded with, that made the difference. one of my coaches is still my coach, almost 45 years later, Joe.
Oh, wow.
I see him 2 or 3 times a week. Now, which is why it's so important for young men today, but everything's moving so fast. So I have a client who's 18, just graduated from high school, and his mom is so thankful that I work with her son, and we battle because she does everything for him. She's mom and dad. And her and I will battle sometimes when I want to touch, a third rail when it gets emotional, because I know what I need to do to help him. Okay. And so what happens with guys that that went through a divorce, if you're not surrounded by strong, grounded men, you are on your own, bro. And it is a bitch. And then you will have to figure stuff out on your own, and you will make mistakes. And a lot of guys your age, Joe, have made a lot of mistakes, and some of them have been very costly mistakes. Some of them have been involved their own relationships with. Now it makes you a single dad. And then you're like, whoa, I didn't learn anything. I am repeating, I call it generational pass down. And until somebody can stop that, it's going to happen again. It's going to happen again. And that's why I just told a mom the other day, she's getting a divorce. Her kids are they're teenagers, and it's going to be tough. But I said, just remember, as teenagers, 3 things you need to be doing. You need to be telling them, I love you, I'm proud of you, and you're good at that, whatever that is. And for a lot of dads, we struggle with that, because I work with a lot of dads that they try to live their life vicariously through their kids, whether it's sports or whatever else, instead of encouraging them and complimenting them on things that they do well, not what you wanted to do. Heck, you might have wanted to be a football player, but you might have been crummy, terrible athlete, and maybe your son wants to be a musician or a singer or an artist. You need to encourage that and quit living your life through that. Go live your own life. Go figure your own things out. Go get your own coach. But I've seen so many parents make that critical mistake, and they just destroy their kids mentally and emotionally. It's a train wreck. But that's happening everywhere. It's just a mess.
Well, it seems like a lot of, you hear the stories about kids going to college, the first week in college, the parents are calling every 5 seconds, or you hear about the helicopter.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, my son's 4, going to turn 5, and when he's on the playground, I got to make sure, hey, he's up really high. He's like, Dad, don't worry, I got it. I'm like, no, I'm going to stay in case you fall. But really, he does have it. I'm nervous. As a dad, I'm like, I don't want.
Hey, Joe, I mean, you need to read Wild at Heart. Have you ever read it?
No, I have not, actually.
You need to read that book. Let me tell you why. Because, first of all, we need to let, especially young guys, be courageous, be risk takers. And I don't mean be stupid, but you know what? We need to be a little dangerous. Your son needs to come home and say, hey, Dad, check this out, man. Check this out. Look at my knee, man. I cut it today. Wow. How'd you do that, son? Man, I fell off the bars, dude. One of the things that they're trying to do, I think is in Europe somewhere, they're trying to bring back these playgrounds that I grew up on, man. But we used to swing on the swing and fly off that sucker, or see if we could flip it around, or, just do crazy stuff. They don't let you do that stuff anymore, man.
No.
They don't let kids be kids. No. And I'm telling you right now, it is creating a mess. We need to let kids, I'm going to be honest with you, Joe. You know how many kids got hurt when I was a kid?
What's that?
Very few. More kids get hurt today than ever when I was a kid. And when we did, sure, we broke arms and every once in a while, or a collarbone, or, your whatever. But we were out there playing, man. We weren't inside. We were climbing trees. We can't do that stuff anymore, man, because you're afraid someone's going to abduct your kid. I remember at night, in the summer especially, we'd be playing ditch 'em with a group of guys, and we'd be hiding in trees and things all over the neighborhood. And finally, I wouldn't come home till I could hear my mom yelling, or somebody would say, hey, Arnie, your mom's yelling, time to go. Or the street lights would come on. I mean, that was in the 60s and early 70s. So what I'm trying to say here is we need to let our kids be kids, especially our boys. We need to encourage them to take risks, to live life, man. Because if they don't learn it now, then they're going to grow up, and as all of a sudden, as an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid that goes away to school, they're going to go, I don't know what to do. I don't know what to do. And it is really critical. And you're in a tough spot because you're trying to be mom and dad, And so, like I said, I love you. You're good at that, and then encourage them to, tell them that you're proud of them, whatever they're doing, whatever it is. Because here's what happens, Joe. Here's what happens. I've got three daughters. They're all grown. The last one's going to get married here in September. I have a son who's 37 who has a traumatic brain injury because he did some dumb things. Even though he was an adult, he was 21. He was working for him and making good money. But this I know: if you do the right thing with that 4-year-old, 5-year-old son of yours, if you do the right thing, Joe, and when by the time he's 20 years old or 21 or going away to college, you will be his friend. You won't be his parent. But if you screwed up, like a lot of parents do, God bless them, you will be parenting your child when they're 20, 25, 30, 35. And there is no worse thing that I've seen in my life than watching a 50 or 60-year-old man or woman telling their 35-year-old son or daughter what to do. It is embarrassing. It is a mess. And the reason is because they were their friend when they were teenagers. And I've seen it. And when you are your kid's friend, you are causing them harm. You are hurting them. You are crippling them.
So basically, it's not a good foundation now as a younger to get them to that position.
You better believe it.
They can do things in their own.
That's right.
You don't need the parents' guidance when they're 30.
No, if you do the right thing, because right now you got about to that young fellow who's about 14 or 15 years old, and then you better have him surrounded by good coaches, teachers, and mentors, because you're done. Not going to listen to you, and it's going to hurt you if you haven't done this right. It's going to hurt you, and that's when it's going to bait you into becoming his friend. It will bait you into that. In my spiritual world, that's Satan. Satan is going to bait Joe into being his buddy, and he does not need a buddy from you. He needs a dad who's going to be strong and grounded, meaning that if you've done the work, it means you're going to say, I love you, proud of you, and you're good at that. You're going to encourage him, but you're also going to follow through with the rules. You're going to have some well-structured rules around him,
Yeah, exactly.
But you're teaching all the other stuff that you want to do for your fellow there, teaching and all the things. No. That's up to other men around him, okay? And because if you're doing all that, he's not going to listen to you, and he's going to push it away. And it's going to make you feel even worse. It's going to push you into being more of his buddy, and that's just dangerous. I see it all the time because kids don't want to listen to him anymore. So I've seen parents take them out on even going drinking. It's just a mess. It's just so horrible, and it's because they didn't do the job they needed to do when they were younger as parents. They don't need a friend.
You always see that. I always see the parent who thinks the kid's not doing anything wrong, and the kid's playing the parent, and the kid's always doing something wrong. I wouldn't say kid; they're adults at the time, and the parents just like in total denial of it because what they did in the.
Yeah, they enabled the kids. Kids aren't stupid.
No.
Once they know they got you, they got you. So you better either reverse course really quick and take the hit, and then reload. Because here's something for your audience, Joe.
Mm-hmm.
I say this all the time: hard choices, easy life. So if your parents, those young people out there that are listening to this right now, take my word. If you're willing to make some hard choices with your kids right now, hard choices. I don't care how old they are, as long as they're not. I mean, if they're in their 20s and 30s, but even then, if you're having to be their parent, time to stop. So the hard choice is stop it now. But if they're young, if they're teenagers or they're young, start making some hard choices now. Hard choices, easy life. Your life will get easier with them. If you're having a hard time saying no to eating terrible food or hanging out with the wrong people, and that hurts you, it's going to help your child later on. But if it's easy to give in because they're whining, and so you go buy them a box of Twinkies, or you let them hang out with the wrong people, or you let them get away with saying the wrong things to you, hard life. You're in for a hard life with that young fellow or your child, whoever is listening right now. And if you're already experiencing all this, you know what I'm talking about. It's time to take a stand and start making some hard choices. And we've all done it. I've been there. I know. But I know this. It was tough. I always tell my kids this. I wasn't a great dad because I was kind of absent. I was working all the time, man. I was gone. And I felt bad about it. I really do. But I know this, because I just didn't give in. I have wonderful relationship with my adult daughters right now. Wonderful. I can call them right now and just talk like friends, because I never tell them what to do. And my middle daughter, she's always telling me, Dad, thanks for picking up. I go, what do you mean? She goes, you're the only one that answers your phone all the time. and she's 38 years old.
That's an awesome relationship to have with your daughter, because not everybody picks up their phone nowadays. I don't want to talk to that person.
I know that. But you know what? Why won't I? Here's why I pick up the phone with her. Because I know it makes me smile. If I knew picking up the phone with her was going to be having to, put out fires and do all kind of crazy things that a lot of parents want to do because they want to keep being a parent, I probably wouldn't pick it up either.
No.
But I know it's different. I know it's other stuff. I know we're going to talk like friends. We're just going to talk. It could be things she's doing. She might ask for advice, maybe not. She might be telling me something what the kids are doing. I don't know. But I want to find out. So I pick the phone up.
Well, it's a good transition. I wanted to talk about more. I know you have a book you did with Nick Britton called your
I did. It's right here. Yeah.
Your MBA. What is that about?
Honestly, it is Nick wanted me to collaborate with him, and we just had to we put it up because Nick, Nick, he's a pistol, and he moves really quick. So what he did, he put it up because he wanted to get the book out by Christmas. So he put it up Christmas time, and then when I got my copy, he'd done everything himself, and so I said, Nick, we need to do some final edits on that. So we kind of pulled it. It's still on there, and we're actually putting together a marketing plan now. But my part of the book was about communication and about how businesses need to, use effective communication and working with customers and all the things that have to do with people. That was my kind of contribution to this book, and all about dealing with people, dealing with customers, and all that stuff. Whereas Nick brought in a lot of the business stuff and nuts and bolts. But honestly, guys, it's a good book. It's a good book for people that want to understand business from a people standpoint. Good stuff, good information, and yeah. So Nick, because I am a coach and I've helped Nick with some stuff in his business, he asked me if I would collaborate with him, and so yeah, we did, and we just started talking, and he's a great writer, and if you look through the book, it's stuff about strategic planning, growth, magic strategy, which we talked about how to lift up your business core, vision, core business stuff, how to get there with just different things, different tactics, and talks about marketing, advertising. So it's a good book. We're going to do some other projects. We're doing some stuff right now as well, but I like to call myself Nick's break a lot of times. I try to slow him down a little bit because I've had to have that in my own life. I've learned that the hard way by doing things too fast. I had this one guy used to tell me, Arnie, your philosophy is ready, fire, aim, and that can get you in trouble.
It could get you in trouble, yes. And also, your podcast, Answers for Real Men. I know I've actually been a guest on that, and I was wondering, say a little about that.
Let me tell you where I'm at with that right now. I've taken a break. I have been doing some other things with a coach. We're putting together a little different platform based on adventure, and so I've kind of put out that on hold for just. And I got, I don't know how many episodes, quite a few episodes out there, and that I'm really proud of because I've got to meet some really neat people like you, Joe. So if you go to iTunes and check me out, Answers for Real Men, you're going to get a lot of great episodes. I have one guy who's a marketing guy who's a client of mine. He's always sending out his episode to customers and people that want to get to know him. He goes, check it out. He goes, this guy has a great podcast, and I was his guest, and and it was a good show. And so it is great for people like you because it allowed you to tell your story. And like I said, I got to meet a lot of really good people. So we're trying to revamp it just a little bit and tweak it with some stuff that I'm doing now with adventure like you and I talked about earlier in this show about. You see me all the time on mountains and stuff. And because I am an ultra athlete, and I've done a lot of things competition-wise, I've done powerlifting and triathlons, Ironman type stuff. And I've fallen into this ultra adventure running stuff now, adventure fast packing, you might want to call it. And I love it. And you know what? Because what I'm trying to teach the men, Joe, is to get the best way to cure boredom is with adventure.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of young guys, and kind of brings us full circle to where we started, a lot of young guys and even older guys, their life is boring. There's no pizzazz to it. There's no zest for living. And, you know, they're in the grind, man. They're raising kids. They don't have time to spend, or they think they don't have time to spend, you know, loving on their wife or their girlfriend. And, you know, they're going to work all day long, and then they're coming home and trying to spend time with their kids. And, you know, they're trying to take care of themselves physically, and it just doesn't, there's not enough time, man. And so what I try to tell them, hey, look, you know, get some adventure in your life. You've got to have something to look forward to, whether it's, you know, going fishing, climbing a mountain, or doing something crazy, you know, taking a risk. You know, one, your wife will appreciate it, you know, because it'll bring some life back to you, man. And that's where I'm going, what I'm doing now. You know, we got to bring life back to men, because our society is just turning men into mush. You know, it really is. I'm going to be on a podcast next week with a guy down in Australia, and he works with a lot of depression and anxiety and stuff. And tell you what, you know, he wanted to ask what I want to talk about. I said, well, let's talk about the demasculinization of men. I mean, our society is demasculizing men because, you know, we're all men are supposed to be bad. We're mean and blah, 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 blah. And I tell you what, I talk to a lot of women, Joe,
mm-hmm.
a lot of moms, and they think it's cute for a while to be around a guy that's more soft and cuddly. But after a while, they want a man. So if you think, for you guys out there, if you think the fastest way to a woman's heart is to be soft and cuddly and agreeable and all that good stuff, you're wrong, because we have two polarities out there, guys. A masculine and a feminine polarity. The problem that we run into in our society is men are confused. They don't know whether to spend time most of the time on the masculine side or the feminine side. So they're choosing one or the other. And the key is being well grounded so that you know there's times to be feminine and there's times to be masculine. But with confusion, we don't know what to do.
It's an interesting topic about that. And also, too, you can see in the news, and especially on TV and stuff, how dad's the goofy, aloof person, and make him look like the dad doesn't have no clue what he's doing, and mom's always right. And I mean, I don't know how you feel about that, but that kind of gets under my skin a little bit.
Bingo. You just nailed a big one. I did a radio show here last summer, and we talked about that. And we talked about how a friend of theirs, he's working on a project in Hollywood, and they found that with their research that from the 60s, it was like 50 some examples of TV shows and movies where men were shown as real men, strong, grounded, courageous, risk takers. Today they showed 3.
That's crazy.
3. And most of the time, you're exactly right. They're either a goofy dude like Raymond, or they're a mean, violent guy who's got a lot of mental issues, or maybe it's a divorced guy that's struggling with his relationship. He can't get things figured out, or, gee, can we just have a guy that's a real man that's got, that maybe has things figured out? It's TV, man. You can do whatever you want, right?
But I mean, it's funny when you watch TV, especially on social media and TV and stuff, it makes an impression on people. And sometimes it gives them the wrong impression. That's my side of it.
It does. If you're a young man right now and every guy you see on TV or the movies is either violent or goofy, what are you thinking?
You're one or the other. You're not a normal person. You're going to be goofy or violent. There's not a normal masculine guy like, hey,
there's no, there's not a balance there. There's not a guy that can say, hey, look at that, man. Look at Rocky, man. I always tell people, the greatest love story movie of all time is Rocky 2. And the reason for that is one great scene that anybody that's listening to this, go out and Google the word win. Because in Rocky 2, when his wife is in the hospital because she had a miscarriage, or she had she was pregnant, and she was working in the pet food store because Rocky wanted to fight and blah, blah, blah. She didn't want him to, but, that's what he did. And so she goes into a coma, and he stops his training. He's sitting in there with Nick, the trainer, and then she has the baby. It's healthy. And then a few days later, she comes out of the coma, and he's apologizing like crazy. I'm not going to fight. I know you didn't want me to. And she doesn't say a word. She just looks at him. And then with one word, she says, win. And then Mickey sitting over there goes, what are we waiting for?
I love that.
And the next scene, he's out there training and doing all the crazy stuff that he does. Because in history, Joe, when men know that their significant other supports them 100%, has their back, whether it's on a business deal or a new job or just something crazy that we guys do. We come up with goofy things. And when we know that our wives have our back, we will slay dragons for them. And I'll be honest with you, I was struggling with my wife back then. I had 4 kids when I made my big jump. And when I quit teaching, I didn't tell my wife. This has been part of my story. I didn't tell my wife because I didn't trust what I was going to hear. And I don't know if I would have been able to make the changes that I made in my life back then. But everything in my life changed because I made that decision. I took a scary jump without a net. And I had one of the scariest summers of my life, man. I ended up tripling my income because I took a chance. I didn't play it safe, man. And guess what? Yeah, I could have fallen on my face, but I could have always gone back to teaching. Could have got a job somewhere. I didn't know, but I would have. But now I get to tell all kind of crazy stories about my life to people like you and I right now. I'm telling a crazy story, and you're going, crap. I don't know. Joe, do you think you could have done that if you had 3 kids and 1 in diapers, so 4 kids and 1 in diapers? You think you could have bailed out and just gone and done something just off the cuff, man?
I don't think I could be honest. I won't lie to you. I'd have some serious thinking right now. I'd say no. I'd be honest with you.
Yeah, I've told that story 100 times, and I'll bet you 99 out of 100 have said no. They'll look at me like, really? You did that? I wasn't a risk taker, man. I'm telling you. I think deep down my dad was, but my mom emasculated my dad and beat. I've learned a lot and beat a lot of that out of him because women marry for safety and security first, and that's why I'm a big fan of premarital counseling because you can learn a lot of these things early on before you get married. And if you're marrying somebody that doesn't support your dream and your vision for your life, I got news for you. You better find another mate. Not going to work. My brother did this almost 30 years ago. I forget, maybe. Let's say 25 years ago, maybe. He got married, and maybe longer. And within 6 months, he had his marriage annulled. My brother is a pretty slick dude, and the reason was because his wife. Actually, we just saw some old videos, DVDs. We had them made into DVD of a Christmas 27 years ago, and he was in it with his wife. So it's 27 years. So he had it annulled because he was told that they were going to do a lot of traveling because of his job. Because he worked for the DEA, and they were going to have to move to Fort Bliss in Texas. And she didn't want to. She wanted to stay close to her parents. And he goes, no. He goes, you don't understand. I told you that we were going to be doing traveling. So he thought he had an agreement with her that it was okay to travel. Remember, when, right? And she didn't say when. So you know what he did? He just had it annulled. Gave her everything. Here's the house. Here's everything. I don't care. I'm moving on with my life. And within a couple of years, he found a neat lady who is a godsend. They've had 3 amazing kids. And the last one just graduated from high school. He should have won the state championship in the hurdles. Just an amazing young man who's going to get a full ride scholarship to college for running track. And just, all because he took a stand. He made a hard choice and said, no, you broke the agreement.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, how many guys could do that, Joe?
Not a lot. Not a lot of men could do that.
No. But because it's hard choices, brother.
We got to make the choices, and they're not always easy. I guess
No, it's tough.
I guess wrapping up, I was wondering final thoughts where they can connect with you. And remember, you mentioned that offer about that book.
Yep. Best way to get a hold of me is go to Facebook, and just look up Arnie Fonseca Jr. Arnie Fonseca Jr. And there's two profiles because I was working on some other things, but either way, I'll usually the one with the most friends on it, and with I'm in a coaching situation there. My profile picture is me coaching a bunch of guys. So look for a guy coaching a bunch of guys. The black and white photo of me coaching over 30 years ago, and kind of fun little picture. But that's the best way. You can also go to my website, Total Recovery Arizona, all spelled out, .com. Okay. Or, here we go. I'm going to be bold. Here's my phone number, 602-390-9144, because I want to help you guys. 602-390-9144. And you get a hold of me those ways and connect with me, and I will make sure to get you a copy of that book, The 5 Love Languages by Dr. Gary Chapman. I'll get you an audio copy of that book. And Joe, remind me, I'll send that to you as well, Joe.
Okay.
And I'm also going to get you Wild at Heart. You need to listen to Wild at Heart, man.
Okay.
As a young dad, you need to hear that stuff, man. You need to hear it. And because I want to help you guys. I mean, I coach a lot of men, and I need to do my part in the community, and that's helping you guys out. So you let me know, Joe, how I can help your audience. And I think you're doing a great job reaching out and giving a platform for young parents to solve things, man. That's the only way it's going to work. One parent at a time. I know we've all heard about it takes a community or a village and all that stuff. That's fine. But it takes some strong, grounded men and women to make this thing work. And it takes good communication. And that's what I'm about as a coach. You know, it's about creating good communication and teaching young people to communicate and talk things out and work things out and quit getting all crazy about stuff.
All the links that we talked about today will be in the show notes, and make sure I'll even have your phone number in the show notes also for the people who want to get in touch with you.
Beautiful. Yeah.
All right, Arnie, thank you very much for being on the podcast tonight. I really do appreciate it, and I really enjoyed you as a guest tonight. Thank you. Well, that's all I have for this episode. I really want to thank you for listening. And I also want to thank Coach Arnie for being a guest in the podcast. You can find more about him over at the totalrecoveryarizona.com, or you can find him on Facebook. He always is really cool. If you check out his Facebook page, he does all these really cool Facebook videos and talks about different topics like expectations and different things that motivate people. You can find links in the show notes over at nosittingontheSideline.com/60. Please comment on the podcast. You know what? I have an idea. So be able to just kind of generate a little bit of conversation, especially during the holiday season. What is one family tradition that you do during the holiday? Leave it in the show notes. Let's have a conversation about it. I'd be interested to hear. We have family traditions. I want to hear yours. Please reach out and leave a comment in the show notes. And if you have any questions, reach out to me, Joe at nosittingonthesideline.com or nosittingonthesideline.com/contact. You can find all my information over there too. Have a second. Please sign up for the email newsletter. Keep in touch with what's going on. Well, this has been a long episode, Drew. I really want to wrap it up. I really want to say thank you for listening and have a great and safe, happy holidays. Till next time, take care. God bless. See ya.
Thank you for listening to the podcast. Please subscribe to the newsletter to receive updates of the show and helpful and useful tips. This has been a production of Foley 42 Media.